So I was alone in that house that day. So he came, I opened the door. We went inside my room and then we sat down. That room only had my bed and the TV stand where I placed this TV on. I have a small TV that I watch. So it was just that bed and the TV stand. So there was no other option than for him to sit near on my bed. So he sat near my bed. We're not sitting close because I was still very cautious of myself. And then we start talking. And excuse me, I asked him, how is my baby? How is everything? And we were just talking. The next thing I knew, this man just pushed me down and used his hand to pin me down on my bed. And before I could say, Jack Robinson, this man raped me in my room. Yeah, he raped me in my room and he left. He just stood up and I'm sorry. That's not the plan. I didn't plan to do this. I just wanted us to talk. I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry. And he jumped out. The next thing I heard was his car drive off. I buried my head in shame, in pain. I was disgusted. I felt disgusted. I went and cleaned myself. I took shower, cleaned myself up. I was just irritated. And that was the greatest mistake I made. That night, had I reported that rape, I would have gotten my child back.
After watching part 1 and 2 of Dorothy's story, I thought that was it. Now that the man has left her for the second time, to me, she was going to pick the pieces of her life together, have her baby, then raise her as a single mother, happily. But my people, that wasn't the case. What happened to Dorothy next was even way worse than what the husband and his family did to her. Remember, she made mention of health issue and she needed someone to take care of her child after she had delivered. It wasn't easy, but when she finally found someone, let's listen and hear what happened next.
And what else would that do? What else would a woman want at this point? So I fell in love with her, like I said, and we went on like that. And this friendship or sisterhood lasted a month because I gave birth the next month, and she was the first person I called when I got to the hospital. I took the ambulance to the hospital, so I called her when I got there. Or before the ambulance came, I called. I said, "Yeah, I'm in labor. I've called the ambulance. I'm going to the hospital." Oh, which hospital? I told her where I was going to, and I got there. Not up to 20 minutes, she appeared with a lawyer. Guys, I didn't really think anything at that point. The only thing I told the doctors was that I don't want them in the labor room with me. So they just came to talk to me briefly and they went out. And I thought they had gone home. So, excuse me, after my delivery and cleanup, I was shocked that they were still there. So the nurses ushered them in. I was, kind of grateful that somebody can be there waiting for me for that long, So they came that night and they left. The second night, they called on the phone and I was supposed to be, my daughter was born March 9th, 2003. So on the 10th of March, very late at night, she called me and she said, "Oh, I'm coming to pick up the baby tomorrow." I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, let me just tell you the rules. First of all, when I come, don't talk too much, just answer a few questions. I said, answer a few questions from who? He said, "No, don't talk too much to the doctors. Don't say too much. Make sure you're not talking to any doctor, because if they find out that someone else is coming to pick your baby, they may decide to give the baby to the government, and you don't want the baby to go to the social services. So just don't talk too much. Don't say anything to the doctor. Make sure you don't tell them that anybody is coming. So when we come, we just come and pick up the baby. And let me also let you know that I wouldn't be able to do this if we don't have any legal backing." And I was like, "Legal what?" Because I remember we verbally talked about this and I said, "I don't want any legal thing. I don't want anything that will tie me. I just want you to take care of this baby. When it's time for me, I'll still have my rights. I'll take my baby." And she agreed. But that night before she came to pick up the baby, she changed everything. She said she's no longer coming to pick the baby except I signed something. So reluctantly, I said, "Okay, I can do legal guardianship for a few weeks until I get someone to help me." She said, "Okay." So that next morning was a mixed feeling for me. I would look at my baby and she would look up to me. I was just, how you feel like you're going to give your 3 days old baby out. So I cried all through the night, and the nurses were asking me what the problem was, and I kept telling them it's because my husband abandoned me. But my main problem was that I was going to miss my child. So the nurses were like, "Okay, so are you sure you're going to be able to take care of the baby?" I said, "Yeah, I have family that will take care of the baby. Don't worry about that." Because they all knew I was going to go for treatment. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So that morning they came, I think around 11 a.m. and I was just numb. They came in with a white lady who they introduced to me to be the lawyer they hired for me. I was still scared. I was still speechless. I tried to hold my baby as much as I could that morning. So I was just holding on to my baby, trying to talk to her, trying to tell her that I'm gonna, just talking to her mother to daughter. But it was in a very quiet way. Nobody was hearing us. So the lady was like, okay, can we go on to can we go on with the business of the day? Ma'am, do you know what you're going to be signing? And this evil lady and the husband, I told you they already briefed me. So when she asked that question, she was like, the lady, the nurse, the lawyer was sitting at the edge of my bed talking to me, and they were standing like close to her, and she would give me sign like, don't talk, or say something. So they were giving me signs of what to say when these people asked me questions. So as soon as the lawyer asked me, do you know what you're going to be signing? She went, I said, yes. And truly, I meant yes, because I was thinking that I was signing legal guardianship. So I said, yes. And the lady said, okay, so you want to read? And I said, no, I know what I'm signing already. And I don't know why I did that. So that's why I'm telling this story, for people to learn from the mistakes that I made, and because I trusted these people. A whole month of praying in tongues was it for me. So I didn't have any reason to doubt her. So this lawyer kept opening the pages, and I was on my bed signing. She'll open, sign here, and I'll sign. She'll open, sign here, and I'll sign. And that's how I signed all the documents. And the attorney got up and left immediately. So it was three of us. So I remember telling them, okay, when I come back, I'll call you. All the arrangement, we made all the verbal arrangements there. And they said, you hold on to this baby, because when you have a baby in America, they'll wheel you out with the baby in your arms. You're not supposed to walk outside. They'll wheel you to the car park and wait until you get in the car. So they wheeled me out and they followed me. So the nurses wheeled me out. I entered one of the cars that they brought, and then she took the baby and put in her car. So there was no way I could think that these people were together, because the man was the one that put my bag in his car, and he drove me down to my house, and the lady drove the baby to her house. So when we got home, I'm going to say this here. I already said it in all my stories. I'm going to say this here, that all that I'm telling you today will be the truth, the whole truth, and so help me God. I will never lie to you. Whatever I say here is the truth. So this man came and he left immediately. He didn't even come into my house, because this particular incident became a story that I'll tell you later on. This man did not even come in. He was in a hurry, and I was wondering why he was in such a hurry. And he said, "Oh, I have to go. The basket, I have some things in the car that I need to give to my sister. The basket for bathing the baby is in the trunk, so I want to go give it to my sister so they can give the baby a good bath." I said, "Okay," and he left. And few weeks later, like a week later, I started going for the real tests to find out what really was wrong with me. And that was when they ran all the tests again, and they discovered it was not cancer, but I have liver problem. So that was the only thing they had to work on, just working on my liver. So I was so excited, and this was like 3 weeks after the baby was with them. So out of that excitement, I got home, and she was the first person I called. Mind you, at this point, the lawyer, my immigration attorney, stopped talking to me. And that was okay by me, because, I really have nothing with him. So I didn't suspect anything. So I called this lady. I said, "Oh, thank God, thank God, thank God. I am back from the hospital, and the news is wonderful. The doctor said I don't have cancer, but I have liver problem, and they're just going to treat it. It's not a big deal." And she said, "Oh." I felt there was no excitement in her voice. I did not hear praise God. I did not hear hallelujah. I did not hear, "Oh, thank God." All I heard was, "Oh." So I became scared. So I dropped the phone, and I was thinking, I said, what type of, I called back in about 2 hours. I said, "Did you hear what I said?" I said, "Please, can you bring the baby back to me?" That was when she started saying, "I'm washing. When I finish, I'm doing this." She started giving me excuses. And this was from that almost 12 p.m., 12 noon till about 3 p.m. She was still telling me stories. And by this time, I had made like more than 10 calls. So at that point, I decided to look for the card of the attorney because she gave me a card that day. And I called her and I said, this is Miss Ejoma. This is what happened. I'm back from the hospital and these people refused to bring my baby to me. I didn't say people. I said, this lady refused to bring my baby. He said, oh, Miss Ejoma, that was adoption you did. I said, what? She said, yes, that was adoption. You did adoption. He said, but by the way, it's just 28 days. Adoption will be cancelled after 30 days. So you still have 2 days. So come right into my office and we're going to revoke it. So I didn't even know how I got there. I just know I called my neighbor who had a car. I said, please take me. And he took me there. I got there and the lawyer was like, you didn't know? I said, no, I didn't know. She said, okay. She gave me all the documents for revocation and I revoked immediately. And I went home. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I was not seeing these people. I called the lawyer's cell phone because she gave me a cell phone number that in case she leaves the office and I still need to reach her, I should call the cell phone. So I called her cell phone. I said, they've not brought the baby to me. She said, no, they can't do that. He said, if they don't bring that baby, I'll call the police on them. That baby will be in your house before 12 midnight. I promise you. So I guess she called them back. And these people did not come at 12. I was trying to call the attorney back when they called me to say they are on their way. And this was like exactly 12. So they wanted to buy more time. They said, we are on our way. And it took them another 2 hours to get to me. Excuse me. When they got into my house, I was shocked to see both of them, but I didn't mind. The attorney was the one carrying the child in the car seat, and the lady just came after him. So he dropped the baby in the middle of the room and just left the room. So I was there alone with the baby and the woman. And the first thing he said was, don't you see that you are still sick? You think I'll eat your child? You think I'll eat your child? You are very ungrateful. You searched all around. You couldn't get people to help you. And I volunteered to help you. And this is how you thank me to go and report me, trying to mess up my license. She was saying so many things. I said, I'm sorry. I came back and when I called you, you didn't respond. So that's why I had to call the attorney. She blasted me, saying all kinds of things. You're still sick. You're still sick. Look, I'm your sister. Let me just care for this baby. Let me care for this baby. You go and take care of yourself. You're sick. You're very sick. Do you know? I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. Do you know what liver problem is? You cannot, some days you'll be weak. Some days you'll be tired. Some days, she was saying all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, I cried and I listened to her. And foolishly, I let her take the baby. But at least I knew at that point that it was still revoked. A few days, she said, I want to visit. And she came. And that was when she was talking about immigration on me. You remember you don't have any immigration status. You remember this because by then my papers was already elapsing. So I had also contracted this same lawyer to extend it more for me. But that day, as soon as I told him about the extension, he told me that he couldn't do it. I said, why? He said he doesn't work in that office anymore. But you know what I found out? I found out that he didn't want to be my lawyer anymore because of the reason I'll tell you later on down the line. So he did not help me to extend it. And I was sick, so I couldn't go to extend it. So when this lady was talking about immigration, I was so scared. She said, they will take this baby from you and you will never see this baby and you will be deported and you will never put your feet in America. Once you're deported from this country, you can no longer come in. So why don't you just let me take care of this baby and as she was talking, she brought out adoption papers right there in my room. You have to resign this whole thing. And I did. And I remember crying all day that day. But after 2-3 weeks, I couldn't hold it anymore. I called the attorney again. The attorney was so mad. Excuse me. The attorney was so mad. And she said, Dorothy, are you being threatened? I said, no. What's the problem? I couldn't talk. I said, nothing. I said, okay, you're an adult, so you do what you want. So I told her that day, I said, I want to revoke it again. She said, are you sure? I said, yes. So we did this revocation process all over again. And she called them to return the baby. And this was exactly 3 weeks. So I still have like a week before the annulment. And they brought the baby again, the same thing. The man dropped the baby and left, and me and the lady started talking. And we're talking and talking. She was talking and swearing and shouting and making noise and threatening me. Immigration will come in and they will take this baby. You're staying in this one room. You don't even have a job. You don't have money. And she took the baby from me. This particular evening, because I said I wasn't going to lie to you. This particular evening, she stared at me with her eyeballs bulging. Stared at me like this, like, you have to sign this paper. And guys, I signed the papers again. and she took the baby and left. So after she left, my friends were like, what is going on? Where is your baby? And they were all concerned for me. So I said, my friends were all concerned and they were asking about the baby, and it was that at that point that I opened up to few of them. And they were like, what? Few weeks down the line, I think my baby was like 2 months old then. My friend called me and said, look what I just discovered. I said, what? He said, my auntie, my cousin took me to a party yesterday, naming ceremony. And guess who I saw? And guess what they were doing? I said, what? Talk. Excuse me. She said, your lawyer, because she's my friend. She knew everything about that lawyer. I think she met him one time when in the hospital. Yeah. When she came to see me, they came that day, so she knew him. So I introduced him as my lawyer. He said, when I got to the party, it was your lawyer and that woman that were doing naming ceremony. Do you know those people were married? Do you know they've been married for 16 years without an issue? Did you know that? I said, no, I didn't know they were married. She said, they're relative. That's the man is his brother. She said, no, that's not the brother. That's the husband. That was where the whole story changed. And I started going from place to place to report them. I went to all the Nigerian meetings. I went to anywhere I could see. I became crazy because at this point, adoption was over. Because I didn't tell you, once she took that baby from me, I relapsed again. I became terribly sick. So by the time I came back from the hospital was that time that they were doing their so-called naming ceremony. And by then, adoption was over with, I think, about 2 weeks over. It was more than 30 days, about 40 days that time. So I was going everywhere to try to tell people what happened. Someone referred me to the ambassador, told me to go to the Nigerian ambassador, Professor Obiozo. And I went to him. I explained the whole thing to him. And he said, oh, no, that's not good. I'll call him. I know him. I'll call him. And the next day, the ambassador called me and told me that I've spoken to him and he's so reluctant. He doesn't want to do anything. I've talked to him, go ahead and do other things you can do. But later I found out that they were good friends. So there's no way, I don't think he talked to him, or maybe they talked and he lied, and I don't know. The man is late, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I mean, the ambassador is late, so I'm not going to be saying anything bad about him. So that was how my battle started. I kept going from place to place. I contacted a lot of people. And because the adoption was closed at that point, it became very, very hard. I went back to the courthouse. I complained to the judge, and the judge wrote me and said, you revoked the adoption twice, so you knew what you were doing. And if you think this adoption is wrong, you get a lawyer. At that point, I became weak. So I was just talking, begging everybody to help me. But these people will not budge. My baby turned 7 months, and this man suddenly called me one day. He said, can we talk? Can we come and talk about the baby? We want to talk because we see you are reporting us everywhere. So let's just have this talk and put things straight. I said, okay. Before then, the wife came, and that was the day she came alone, and I confronted her about lying to me. She apologized and said, you know what? I'm going to give you a pendant. She brought out this pendant. It's a heart-shaped pendant with, it's like split into two. One part says mother, the other part says daughter. So she broke the pendant into two and gave me the mother part and kept the daughter part. And she promised me that this is going to be like a covenant between us, that since the adoption is closed and there's nothing you can do, this is just promising you that you will forever be able to see your child. I said, no, that's not what I want. I want to be in her life. I said, please, I promise you I'm not going to take her away, but just let me have close relationship with her. Bring her to me. Let her grow with me. At least some weekends, let her come. Instead of taking her to the babysitter, bring her to me. I'll take care of her. And she promised and left. So when the husband called me, when the baby turned 7 months, and told me they were coming back, I thought they were coming back to talk about this whole thing again. So that night I waited 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12 o'clock. He told me, oh, I'm outside. I'm like, you're outside? He said, yeah. I said, what about your wife? Oh, she couldn't make it, but it's going to be a brief meeting. I'm just going to talk and then we'll go. That's okay. He came in, and you remember I told you the house I rented with 5 people. It's a Chinese man that owned the house. He had a Chinese restaurant in Baltimore, so he stays in the house only on Monday mornings. He come back on Sunday night, spend Monday, and then goes back on Monday night. So he's not there all the time, and the other 5 men work round the clock. So I was alone in the house that day. So he came, I opened the door. We went inside my room. and then we sat down. That room only had my bed and a TV stand where I placed this TV on. I have a small TV that I watch. So it was just that bed and the TV stand. So there was no other option than for him to sit near on my bed. So he sat near my bed. We're not sitting close because I was still very cautious of myself. And then we start talking. And excuse me. I asked him, how is my baby? How is everything? And we were just talking, talking, talking. The next thing I knew, this man just pushed me down and used his hand to pin me down on my bed. And before I could say, Jack Robinson, this man raped me in my room. Yeah, he raped me in my room and he left. He just stood up and was, I'm sorry. That's not the plan. I didn't plan to do this. I just wanted us to talk. I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry. And he jumped out. The next thing I heard was his car drive off. I buried my head in shame, in pain. I was disgusted. I felt disgusted. I went and cleaned myself. I took shower, cleaned myself up. I was just irritated. And that was the greatest mistake I made. That night, had I reported that rape, I would have gotten my child back immediately. But my mind was numbed. I didn't think. All I felt was just pain and anger, anguish and numbness. I took the shower, I came back and I just lay down, went back to sleep. I woke up in the morning. I was trying to think if it was a dream or something, but it was not dream. And anger made me not to even call this man. At this point, I don't know what I would call the feeling that I had. I even stopped calling the woman too. I was just like on my own. I just shut myself down. Even my friends noticed that I was withdrawn, but they thought I was just mourning I was just angry because of my child. So I was doing all this, just managed to go to work and come back. Because then I was working at this gas station, and that was the last week on the gas station anyway. I started working in a preschool, and this preschool promised to file my papers for me. That was the catch for me. So I went to them and I started working there. I worked for like a month or two when I noticed that I was pregnant. I didn't know what to say at that point. So I called this man in anger. I was like, what have you done with me? Why did you do this? That was the only time I'll talk to him that. I was so angry. He was apologizing. I said, this is not a matter of, I said, what am I going to do? And I got so angry, I just hung up on him. And I started researching on what to do. Because I didn't want to carry any pregnancy again. Not for this particular person.